Hey there, folks. Before we get started, I just want to remind you to follow SkyAlert USA so you don't miss any of our weather updates. Stick with us for this video and all the ones coming up. You won't want to miss what's ahead. March 3rd, 2026. Major weather alert. Winter's last stand meets spring's first strike. Good day, everyone, and welcome back to SkyAlert USA, your #1 source for real-time weather intelligence across the United States and Canada. I'm coming to you live today, Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026, with one of the most complex and dangerous weather setups we've seen in the opening days of meteorological spring. Across our nation and across Canada, multiple powerful weather systems are simultaneously in play. From Arctic clipper snowstorms slamming the Great Lakes and the Northeast, to a growing and serious severe thunderstorm threat roaring to life from Texas all the way into the Ohio Valley. We're watching this whole setup extremely closely, and I want you to stay with me throughout this entire broadcast, because the next 72 hours are going to be absolutely critical for millions of Americans and Canadians. Let's get right into it. We are currently dealing with a powerful Arctic clipper storm system, fueled by a fresh and aggressive surge of Arctic air mass diving southward from Canada into the United States. These storms typically form in the lee of the Canadian Rockies in Alberta, and then race rapidly eastward across the northern United States toward the Atlantic coast. While clipper systems don't typically carry the same massive snowfall totals as a full-scale nor'easter, they are absolutely capable of disrupting travel and ushering in some of the most dangerously cold temperatures of the entire winter season. This new Arctic cold pool is delivering a particularly brutal and punishing start to March, the first month of meteorological spring 2026. Monday into Tuesday, low temperatures are falling into the 20s across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, with readings plummeting into the mid-teens across the Great Lakes and the entire Northeast. Morning rush hour travel across Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Philadelphia, and New York City is being significantly disrupted by fresh snow accumulations. And in some locations, a dangerous wintry mix of ice and freezing rain is coating roads, sidewalks, and bridges. The National Weather Service has issued winter storm warnings and watches for areas of the Midwest and Northeast, warning that areas of the country that missed last week's historic blizzard of 2026 may not be so lucky this time around. AccuWeather has stated that with fresh Arctic air firmly in place, warm and moist air colliding with that cold air mass may produce widespread snow, sleet, and freezing rain across parts of the Great Lakes and Northeast. This is a double-barreled threat, people. You have the immediate danger of slippery roads and reduced visibility from the ongoing clipper system, and you simultaneously have the longer-range threat of severe thunderstorms beginning to fire up across the south-central United States by midweek. We're essentially watching winter and spring collide in real time, and the results could be dramatic. Let me walk you through what's happening state by state across the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. In New York, winter storm conditions continue this morning, with snow and sleet accumulations making travel treacherous across upstate regions and suburban corridors. The New York City metro area is seeing a wintry mix of rain, sleet, and light snow, with temperatures hovering right at the freezing mark. In Pennsylvania and New Jersey, the National Weather Service has issued winter weather advisories through Tuesday morning. Commuters along Interstate 78, Interstate 80, and the Pennsylvania Turnpike are urged to exercise extreme caution. Black ice remains a significant danger on bridges and elevated roadways. It's important to remember the context here. Last week, the Northeast was devastated by the historic blizzard of 2026, a storm that brought over 20 inches of snow to many locations, caused widespread power outages, and resulted in millions of residents being placed under travel bans. As the nor'easter hit New Jersey hard, a large amount of snow accumulated across Jersey City and the surrounding metro area on February 23, 2026. The ground is still saturated with snowmelt, and now this new Arctic clipper is dumping additional accumulations on top of what was already a significant snowpack. In Massachusetts, Connecticut and Rhode Island, the memories of last week's blizzard are still very fresh. The National Weather Service is now warning residents to brace for additional snowfall accumulations and dangerously cold wind chills through Tuesday night. The intensifying polar jet stream is keeping the Arctic high over Canada extremely strong, effectively locking the Great Lakes and the entire Northeast into a deep freeze through midweek. This deep freeze is being described by meteorologists as one of the coldest starts to March on record across the northeastern United States. Moving into the Great Lakes corridor, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin and Minnesota, this region is currently in the bullseye of the most intense Arctic cold. Lows across the Great Lakes are falling into the mid-teens, with wind chill values making it feel significantly colder. This is dangerously cold air, and exposure to these temperatures, even for brief periods, can result in frostbite. Lake-effect snow bands continue to develop off Lake Erie, Lake Ontario and Lake Michigan, targeting communities in western and central New York, northern Pennsylvania, and Michigan's Lower Peninsula. Some of these bands are producing snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour in isolated pockets. The city of Buffalo, New York, no stranger to extreme winter weather, is once again seeing intense lake-effect snow bands, and the National Weather Service has issued lake-effect snow warnings for Erie and Chautauqua counties through Tuesday evening. In Michigan, the Detroit metro area saw slippery morning roads during the rush hour, with temperatures dropping well below freezing. In Chicago, Illinois, wind chills are making conditions dangerous for anyone spending extended time outdoors, with wind chill values dropping into the single digits Fahrenheit overnight. The context across the South is sobering. The historic January 23rd through 27th winter storm, which stretched an unprecedented 2,000 miles from the US-Mexico border all the way into eastern Canada, left a trail of devastation. Over 1 million customers lost power, with the most significant impacts concentrated in Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, and the southern Ohio River Basin. As of early February, 171 deaths had been confirmed, making it the deadliest North American winter storm since Winter Storm Uri in 2021. Federal emergency management efforts are still actively underway across multiple states. 12 emergency declarations were approved by President Trump, allowing states to request federal expertise and resources. Power restoration and generator installation remain the primary focus across still affected communities. Now, as if the South hasn't endured enough this winter, a new and serious threat is building across the region from the west. According to AccuWeather senior long-range meteorologist Joe Lundberg, the setup is favorable for rounds of severe weather from Texas and Louisiana northeastward into the middle Mississippi and Ohio valleys, with each storm system potentially behaving differently in terms of scope and intensity. Now, I want everyone across the central and southern United States to pay close and serious attention to this segment. Beginning Wednesday, March 4th, and continuing through at least Saturday, we are tracking a significant severe weather outbreak threat that has the potential to affect tens of millions of people. The National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center has issued a slight elevated risk of severe weather for 6 central U.S. states: Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. From Wednesday through Saturday, forecasters are warning of the potential for severe thunderstorms capable of producing large hail, damaging wind gusts, and even tornadoes during this period. The highest threat for severe storms is expected on Wednesday, March 4th, with the potential for severe storms with large hail and damaging wind gusts from the southern plains into the western Ozarks. In Texas specifically, an active stretch of weather will bring much-needed rain back to the Lone Star State beginning Wednesday and continuing into the weekend, but forecasters are simultaneously monitoring for severe storm potential. The midweek severe risk begins Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday night, with hail up to golf ball size and wind gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour possible across North Texas, including the Dallas-Fort Worth area and the Texoma region. Storms appear mostly elevated, which lowers the tornado potential somewhat, but large hail remains possible and could cause significant property damage. On Wednesday, there will also be some risk of severe weather, including the potential for a few tornadoes from southeastern Kansas and southwestern Missouri through central and eastern Oklahoma, the western border of Arkansas, and north-central to northeastern Texas. Heavy rainfall from repeated thunderstorms could lead to localized urban and flash flooding across these areas. The Eastern Plains, Mid-Mississippi Valley, and Western Ohio Valley are expected to experience multiple severe weather episodes during March and April. AccuWeather experts have warned that flooding and damaging winds will be the main hazards this spring, with slow-moving storms potentially producing heavier rain totals that could lead to significant flooding events. Now, folks, this is the segment that I really want to emphasize for our viewers across the South and Central United States. Tornado season is officially ramping up, and well, the atmospheric setup going into the second week of March is raising some serious flags among meteorologists nationwide. In March, tornadoes are forecast to focus on an area stretching from northern Georgia to Oklahoma, and northward through most of Illinois. Tornado activity will gradually ramp up as the spring progresses, with April seeing even more frequent activity focused on the Mississippi River Valley, and May shifting attention toward the traditional tornado alley from central Texas to eastern Nebraska. AccuWeather forecasters are urging the public not to let their guard down this severe weather season, warning that flash floods and damaging wind gusts can be just as destructive as tornadoes and honestly often impact a much larger area. It only takes one storm striking a densely populated or vulnerable community to make this a devastating season. Looking further ahead, meteorologists in Florida are already flagging a chance for some significant nationwide weather as we approach March 10th, with updates to be issued as we get closer in time. Now, let's head north of the border and check in on Canada, where the weather picture is equally dramatic. The ECMWF ensemble forecast for mid-March shows continuation of a split-core pattern, with a continuous low-pressure zone positioned over Canada. This setup is bringing a colder air mass to the western and central United States, while allowing a warmer southerly flow into the east and southeast. A cold pattern is dominating across western Canada and the northern, western and west-central United States. Toronto is currently recovering from its own dramatic winter. During the January historic storm, Toronto Pearson International Airport reported its largest single-day snowfall since records began in 1937, receiving a total of 46 centimetres in a single day, with 61 centimetres accumulating in downtown Toronto overall. Over 560 flights were cancelled at Pearson in a single afternoon alone. For the upcoming spring season, the combined ECMWF and UKMO snowfall forecast for March shows above normal snowfall over the southern half of Canada and over the northern United States. More snowfall is expected across the upper Midwest and the northeastern United States, a pattern that reflects past La Niña transition years and the ongoing impact of the stratospheric warming event. Ottawa is currently reporting temperatures near the freezing mark with light snow, while Calgary is actually seeing a relatively milder day by comparison with temperatures in the mid-40s Fahrenheit, reflecting the west to east temperature contrast that defines this dynamic weather pattern. Let's lock in the specific 3-day forecast for the key weather regions across the United States and Canada. Today, Tuesday, March 3rd, Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, you're looking at snow, sleet and freezing rain through midday. Wind chills near 10 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Dangerous travel conditions persist. NWS winter storm warnings remain active. Great Lakes. Lake effect snow bands producing 1 to 2 inches per hour in isolated areas. Wind chills near 0 to 5 degrees in some locations. Blowing and drifting snow reducing visibility. Midwest. Extremely cold air dominates. Wind chills in the single digits to low teens. Chicago approaching dangerous cold thresholds. South. Gradual stabilization, but temperatures remain below seasonal norms. Recovery efforts continuing in Mississippi, Tennessee and Louisiana. Texas and southern plains, mostly dry today with storm setup developing through the afternoon and evening. Pacific Northwest. Wet and unsettled with rain and mountain snow. Seattle and Portland seeing typical March grey skies and showers. Canada, bitter cold across Ontario and Quebec, milder west of the Rockies. Snowfall watches remain in effect across portions of Atlantic Canada. Wednesday, March 4th, most dangerous day of the short term. The highest threat for severe storms is expected. Wednesday, with the potential for severe thunderstorms capable of producing large hail and damaging wind gusts from the southern plains into the western Ozarks. Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas are all under an elevated threat designation from the Storm Prediction Center. Northeast, temperatures begin moderating slightly, some rain mixing in as the Arctic grip begins to loosen. Great Lakes. Lake effect snow winding down, temperatures slowly climbing. Florida and Southeast. Drought concerns intensifying, wildfire risk increasing. Thursday, March 5th. The storm track will shift, with a pronounced southward dip in the jet stream developing over the western United States, while a northward bulge builds in the east. A setup that will be favourable for additional rounds of severe weather from Texas and Louisiana northeastward into the middle Mississippi and Ohio valleys. Tornado threat increases across the Tennessee Valley and lower Mississippi Valley. Northeast sees significant warming trend. Temperatures approaching the low to mid-40s in New York City and Boston. Canada. Gradual moderation begins in Ontario and Quebec. A final stratospheric warming event is now signaling a polar vortex split and collapse, with a separated vortex core moving into the United States and Canada. This is a significant atmospheric event. The polar vortex functions like a spinning containment wall over the polar regions. When it's strong and stable, it traps the coldest air near the North Pole. When it splits and collapses, as we are now witnessing, it releases Arctic air southward into North America. The spring 2026 season is being defined by the rapid collapse of La Niña, which is still having a diminishing influence over North America. For the United States and Canada, this transition is being dictated by a high-pressure system in the Pacific, while a low-pressure zone over Canada is expected to keep the colder air mass within close reach of the United States throughout the first half of March. The bottom line is this: winter is not finished, but spring is absolutely forcing its way in, and the collision between these two powerful atmospheric forces is creating one of the most volatile and dangerous weather setups we have seen in years across North America. Here on SkyAlert USA, our commitment to you is simple. We will never stop watching, we will never stop tracking, and we will always be here to give you the most accurate, most timely, and most detailed weather intelligence available anywhere. If you are in any of the areas currently under warnings or watches, whether that's the Northeast, dealing with Arctic cold, the Midwest, bracing for lake-effect snow, the Central Plains facing severe storm threats on Wednesday, or the Gulf states monitoring the tornado risk, please take this seriously. Have your emergency plan ready. Know where your nearest shelter is. Keep your phones charged and your weather apps updated. If you found today's broadcast helpful, please smash that like button, share this video with your family and friends, and hit subscribe to make sure you never miss a single SkyAlert USA update. We post multiple times daily during active severe weather events, and the coming week is absolutely going to demand your attention.